Welcome to the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We are located on the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. Today is Saturday, November 4th, 2017, and your radio hosts today are
Raquel Adams
and Becky Johnston. We will be reading the news for today's edition of the Fayetteville Observer.
Your weather. Today is a 74 high and a 55 low, intervals of clouds and sunshine. Sunday is a 78 degrees high, 58 degrees low, pleasant with periods of sun. Monday, 82 degrees high and 60 degrees low, partly sunny. Tuesday, 82 degrees high and 51 degrees low, times of clouds and sun. And Wednesday, 62 degrees high, 43 degrees low, mostly cloudy, a shower cooler. Chick Jacobs, November heat. The Sand Hills have seen plenty of cold days in November, but it could get pretty toasty in the region as well. The all-time high temperature in Fayetteville in November was 88 degrees, set on this weekend in 1974. We will be warm this weekend, but nothing like that. Follow Chick Jacobs online at FO_weather on Twitter.
Today in history. Today is Saturday, November 4th, the 308th day of 2017. There are 57 days left in the year. A reminder, daylight savings times end Sunday, November at 2:00 a.m. Local time. Clocks go back 1 hour. It's fall back. Today's highlight. On November 4th, 1942, during World War II, Axis forces retreated from El Alamein in North Africa in a major victory for British forces commanded by Lieutenant General Bernard Montgomery. In 1884, Democrat Grover Cleveland was elected to his first term as president, defeating Republican James G. Blaine. In 1922, the entrance to King Tut's tomb was discovered in Egypt. In 1939, the United States modified its neutrality stance in World War II, allowing cash and carry purchases of arms by belligerents, a policy favoring Britain and France. In 1952, Republican Dwight D. Eisenhower was elected president, defeating Democrat Adlai Stevenson. The highly secretive National Security Agency came into existence. In 1956, Soviet troops moved in to crush the Hungarian Revolution. In 1979, the Iran hostage crisis began as militants stormed the United States Embassy in Tehran, seizing its occupants. For some of them, it was the start of 444 days of captivity. In 1980, Republican Ronald Reagan won the White House as he defeated President Jimmy Carter by a strong margin. In 1995, Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin was assassinated by right-wing Israeli minutes after attending a festive peace rally. Birthdays today. Actress Loretta Swit is 80. R&B singer Harry Elston of Friends of Distinction is 79. Blues singer Delbert McClinton is 77. Former Lady Laura Bush is 71. Actress Yvonne Cole is 70. Actress Markie Post is 67. Country singer Kim Forrester of the Forrester Sisters is 57. Actress comedian Kathy Griffin is 57. Actor Ralph Macchio is 56. Survivor host Jeff Post is 56. Actor Matthew McConaughey is 48. Rapper-producer Sean Puffy Combs is 48. Talk show host Bethany Frankel is 47. Actress Heather Tom is 42. R&B/gospel singer George Huff is 37. Actress Emmy Ryland is 37. Actor Chris Green of the film Loving is 35. And we have some birthdays in the listening area. Gladys Stocks, Marvin Anderson today, and Melvia Johnson tomorrow. Happy birthday.
Livewire. More than 70% of donations fund programs. Question. What percent of my contributions to the St. Jude Children's Hospital actually goes to the hospital? BC Fayetteville. Answer. 78% of your donation goes to support the current and future treatment and research for children at St. Jude and around the world who benefit from our life-saving work, says the website for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. When you add the additional revenue we receive from insurance recoveries and research grants, that amount increases to 82 cents of every dollar received going to support patients today and in the future. Meanwhile, the Charity Navigator website, citing data from 2015, says 73% of St. Jude's expenses are for its programs, with the 10.8% for administration and 16.1% for fundraising expenses. Paul Wolverton. Question. What are the addresses of the two shoe repair shops in town? S.H. Fayetteville. Answer. We actually found several. All the shops we checked with said they repair both military and civilian shoes. There is the Service Shoe Shop at 130 Person Street. Phone number is 483-6833. Bootmaster Shoe Repair at 724 North Raleigh Road, B. Their phone number is 868-4845. The Boot Shop, 6431 Yakin Road, B, with a drop-off location at 2625 Rayford Road, with the phone number 487-2008. SOS Boot Shop at 5953 Yakin Road, telephone number 867-8530. Jay's Boot Repair at 5941 Yakin Road, phone number is 867-2430. And Yakin Boots at 6023 Yakin Road, their phone number is 867-2060. Alas, the Hay Street Shoe Shop, a downtown Fayetteville institution for decades, closed earlier this year. Roger Moon. Livewire seeks to answer questions of general interest and consumer topics. Initials are used to identify questioners when names are given. Contact Livewire at livewire@FayettevilleObserver.com or at 486-3516.
Need to know. Downtown traffic. Several downtown streets will be closed today for Veterans Day events. Motorists should be aware and consider alternate routes. Hay and Person streets will be closed from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. from Martin Luther King Jr. Freeway to North Cool Spring Street for the Veterans Day Parade. The parade, which starts at 10, is free and open to the public. 2. Gingerbread Community. The Fayetteville Area Habitat for Humanity is accepting applications for the H&H Homes Gingerbread Community of Hope, which will be on display November 24th at Skyview on Hay, 121 Hay Street, during a Dickens holiday. A workshop is scheduled for 4 p.m. Thursday at the Hope Mills Public Library at 3411 Gulf View Road. Attendees will learn basic construction and decoration techniques from Fayetteville Technical Community College's culinary arts instructors and students. There is no cost to entry. Entry forms are available at the Habitat Restore at 3833 Bragg Boulevard. 3. Team 43. Members of George W. Bush's Institute's Team 43 sports program will be at Fascinate You Children's Museum today from 3 to 5 p.m. to talk with children about patriotism, life in the military, and to read stories. Several of the service members portrayed in the Portraits of Courage, a a Commander-in-Chief's tribute to American warriors, will be in attendance to talk with the parents about their experience in the military and transitioning to civilian life, and about being painted by their former Commander-in-Chief. The event is free and will be in the Gilbert Theater on the second floor of the museum at 116 Green Street.
Public safety, Cumberland County arrest. Darius Ray Jackson, 18, of the 1700 block of Long Street, and Sean Pope Thomas, 52, of the 6200 block of Bethany Drive in Stedman, were charged Friday with conspiring to traffic in marijuana by a sale of 50 pounds or more but less than 2,000 pounds. Bail for Jackson, also charged with trafficking in marijuana, was set at $25,000. Thomas' bail was set at $20,000. Chadius White, 17, of the 3600 block of Standard Drive, was charged Friday with robbery with a dangerous weapon and conspiracy. Bail was set at $15,000. Natavia Borchelle Bratcher, 28, of the 100 block of Huckabee Street in Rayford, was charged Friday with conspiring to obtain property by a false pretense. Bail was set at $2,500. Michael Elliott Lasson, 29, of the 500 block of Ashton Road, was charged Friday with breaking and entering, misdemeanor vandalism, and misdemeanor resisting arrest. Bail would be set by a judge that charges involve domestic violence. Lorenzo Antoine Priester, 27, of the 1200 block of Jacob Street, was charged Friday with possessing stolen property, misdemeanor possession of drug paraphernalia, misdemeanor discharging a firearm in the city limits, misdemeanor fleeing to elude arrest with motor vehicle in a traffic infraction. Bail was set at $3,000. Joshua Allen Dubik, 30, of the 900 block of McKinnon Road, was charged Friday with possessing marijuana with intent to manufacture. Bail was set at $2,500. Douglas Chang Gallup, 32, of the 1500 block of Doncaster Drive, was charged Thursday with possessing a controlled substance with intent to manufacture. Manufacturing a controlled substance, maintaining a drug vehicle or dwelling, conspiracy, and misdemeanor possession of drug paraphernalia. Bail was set at $2,500. Julio Antonio Cosino, 24, of the 400 block of Tapai Court, was charged Thursday with larceny, 2 counts of forgery and uttering, 4 counts each of identity theft and misdemeanor credit card fraud. Bail was set at $13,000.
Police officer husband appear in court. Fayetteville Police Captain Tracy Bass Kane and her husband William Augerson Jr. said little during their first appearance court hearing Friday afternoon at the Cumberland County Detention Center. Augerson, 47, a registered sex offender, is accused of violating sex offender registry 3 times by being in a public place in the presence of children. Bass Kane is charged with failing to report that Augerson attended the events, which she too attended. They were charged Thursday by the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office Sex Offender Unit. Bail for each was set at $30,000, but Augerson's was secured while Bass Kane's was unsecured. Augerson posted his bail earlier Friday. The couple appeared separately before Judge Tal Baggett at the hearings. The small courtroom was packed with media, friends, and family of the couple, who were heard making remarks several times during the hearings. At least 6 deputies were in the courtroom. Augerson wore a blue sports shirt and khaki shorts and was scolded by Baggett for his attire. Augerson explained that it was what he was wearing when he was arrested. "When you come back, don't wear shorts," Baggett said. "It's not appropriate." Baggett went over each charge against Augerson, noting that each charge was a minimum of 59-month sentence. Augerson is accused of attending Cross Creek Got Talent, an event targeted for children ranging from elementary to high school. at Westover Recreation Center on August 10th. An awards ceremony at Village Baptist Church, also the location of Village Baptist Christian Academy, on May 18th, and a Jack and Jill of America event for children at the Cape Fear Botanical Garden at February 25th. Augerson attended each of the events with Bass Kane, who was in uniform at the time of the Cross Creek Got Talent event. Bass Kane is in the charge of operations in the Cross Creek Patrol District. The August event was sponsored by the police department. As a pre-trial release condition, Baggett ordered that Augerson not be any closer than 300 feet to children, even relatives. Bass Kane, 50, who was more than 25 years of law experience, stared straight ahead as Baggett went over the charges against her. Twice he referred to her as Miss Tracy Baggett Kane before reading the charge. He did not acknowledge that she was a Fayetteville police officer. The two hustled quickly out of the detention center after the hearing, got into a car and left without making any comment. Augerson, a military veteran, has retained Todd Connerlund of Fayetteville as his lawyer. Bass Kane is being represented by Andrew Dempster. Both are scheduled to appear in the District Court on November 22nd. State to distribute opioid reversal drug. North Carolina fired 40,000 shots against the opioid epidemic on Friday. Governor Roy Cooper announced that the state is distributing that many doses of naloxone, a drug that can reverse an opioid overdose. Cooper made the announcement at Carolina Treatment Center on Melrose Road. Fayetteville is one of 4 North Carolina cities among the 20 facing the worst of the opioid crisis. Opioid-related deaths increased more than 30% in 2016 from the previous year. The state has seen a 1,000% increase in the number of opioid-related deaths since 1999, Cooper said. That's unacceptable, he said. Cooper also met with Fayetteville Police Department officials who told him about the department's law enforcement assisted diversion program. The department was first in the state to start the LEAD, L-E-A-D in caps, program, which redirects low-level offenders to resources and organizations that can help them. Captain Lars Paul, who oversees the LEAD program for the police department, said officers had used naloxone about 120 times and saved about 100 lives. About 70 people have been saved with the drug this year, he said. Robert Childs, executive director of the North Carolina Harm Reduction Coalition, said his organization has reports of more than 8,700 people who have been saved with naloxone. He said he is excited about the distribution of the kits with the drug. What the kits do is give people a second chance at life. The distribution will double the number of naloxone kits that the coalition will be able to provide, Child said. A lot of lives are going to be saved. Carolina Treatment Center will receive more than 300 doses of naloxone, Cooper said. The center offers detox program treatment to people who are attempting to overcome an addiction to or dependence upon heroin or other opioids, according to the website. Louis Leake, clinical director of the center, said the facility has about 600 clients. We take what we do seriously. It's a hard job, but it's needed. Cooper also announced that the state will no longer require prior approval from North Carolina Medicaid for a patient with a substance abuse disorder to be prescribed Suboxone film. The film combines naloxone and buprenorphine, which helps reduce opioid cravings. If you have cancer, you treat it. If you have heart disease, you treat it. If you have substance abuse disorder, you should treat it. Cooper heard the presentation about the LEAD program in a separate meeting. Paul said the program, which has 21 active clients, has kept about 80% of its participants from being involved in the criminal justice system. So far, we're seeing signs it's working, he said. The Cumberland County District Attorney's Office and several local agencies are involved, Paul said. It's a team approach, he said. It's a community approach. Childs said the program makes sure that the participants get treatment they need. We know if they can't get treatment, they'll continue to be criminally involved.
Bridge project. Bridge project to affect Rowan Street. Just in time for municipal elections. Expect a slowdown over Rowan Street downtown, but only short-term slowdown promised the state transportation department in a news release. Steel girders will be arriving as part of the $24 million project to build a new bridge at Rowan. Lanes will be closed intermittently during the day between Tuesday and Thursday, says the release, beginning at 9 a.m. Contract crews will close Rowan Street's right westbound lane going toward Bragg Boulevard at the existing bridge, although the other westbound lane will remain open for most of the day. Crews will need to temporarily close it each time a steel girder is hauled to the work site. A detour, if people want one, will include Bragg, the Martin Luther King Jr. Freeway, and Ramsey Street. The bridge project is scheduled to wrap in 2020. Help with helmets. Do you want to help spread the gospel about bicycle helmet safety? The DOT needs you. It is accepting applications for its annual bicycle helmet initiative. The program offers free helmets but needs community partner to help hand them out. Partners could include police and fire departments, parks departments, health departments, community centers, and churches, says a DOT news release. Applicants have the option of requesting 25, 50, 75, or 100 helmets, and awardees will receive them by April 30th, 2018, the release says. Applications are due by 5 p.m. December 11. For information and to download an application, visit https://www.nc.gov/bike/ped/safety education/helmet_initiative/.
Gen X found in 15 more wells near Keymore's plant. 15 more wells near Bladen County have tested for elevated level of potentially harmful chemical, state officials said Friday. A total of 50 wells near the Keymore's plant have levels of Gen X above the state's provisional health goal, according to the statement released by the State Department of Environmental Quality. Studies on animals have linked Gen X to several kinds of cancer, but it's not known if the compound has the same effect on humans. The state started investigating the chemical in June after news broke that the researchers have found it in the Cape Fear River downstream from the Keymore's plant. State officials are working with Keymore's representatives to find a permanent solution for the residences with wells that have high levels of Gen X, the statement said. The state has ordered the company to provide those families with bottled water. State officials and Keymore's representatives have tested 128 wells near the plant. Gen X was detected in levels below the state's health goal in 43 wells, while 35 showed none of the compound. The state and the Keymores were looking at installing home filter systems or connecting the residents to uncontaminated well. State officials also are talking with the officials in Bladen and Cumberland counties about the possibility of running water lines to the area. Key Morris was initially testing wells at houses that are within a mile of the plant. On October 11th, the company expanded the testing to about 450 other properties within a mile of the plant's property's boundary. Michael Reagan, Secretary of the State Department of Environmental Quality, said state workers will check the company's test results. Well water sampling will continue until we find where the contamination ends, he said.
Bird Dog avoids prison. Bo Bird Dog, the soldier who triggered extensive search missions after he walked off his post in Afghanistan in 2009 and was captured by the Taliban, will serve no time in prison. Colonel Jeffrey Nance, the military judge overseeing Bird Dog's court-martial at Fort Bragg, announced the soldier's sentence Friday morning. Bird Dog stood between his lawyers, shaking as his sentence was read in court. Nance announced Bird Dog should receive a dishonorable discharge, be reduced in rank from E5 to E1, and forfeit pay of $1,000 a month for 10 months. He did not offer any explanation for his decision, but considered evidence from service members who were injured searching for Bird Dog, as well as the torture the soldier endured while held captive, and harsh criticism of then-candidate Donald Trump. The sentence must be approved by the convening authority, who is General Robert Abrams, the commanding officer, General of the United States Army Forces at Fort Bragg. He has 120 days to review the sentence. Abrams cannot impose a harsher sentence, but he can reduce the punishment. This dishonorable discharge triggers an automatic appeal to a higher military court. About 90 minutes after the ruling was announced, President Donald Trump, who criticized Bird Dog as he campaigned, called the ruling a disgrace. Bird Dog pleaded guilty October 16 to desertion and misbehavior before the enemy and faced a maximum of life in prison. He had said he walked off his post in Afghanistan to raise concerns about problems he believed existed with his unit's leadership. He was captured by the Taliban within hours. His disappearance triggered extensive, hastily planned search missions, including 2 where service members were injured. Before the judge entered the courtroom Friday afternoon, 2 of Bird Dog's lawyers, Captain Jennifer Norvell and Captain Nina Banks, put their arms around his back and leaned in to talk to him. When the sentence was announced, Norvell began to cry. After the ruling was announced, they rushed Bird Dog out of the courtroom. When Bird Dog left the courtroom about 2:20 p.m., he was not in uniform. Bird Dog, wearing khaki pants and a dark blue collared shirt, was led out of the courtroom by Norvell. Eugene Fidel, who also represented Bird Dog, spoke to members of the media outside the courtroom immediately following the ruling. On behalf of Bird Dog, Fidel thanked the soldiers' parents, former President Barack Obama, and the defense team. Prosecutors who were seeking a dishonorable discharge and 14 years in prison did not make a statement. They sought prison time after calling several witnesses to describe risky, dangerous missions to search for the soldier that injured several service members. Bird Dog was released in May 2014 in exchange for prisoners being held at the United States military prison at Guantanamo Bay. Obama authorized the swap without congressional approval. Obama held a news conference at the White House on May 31, 2014, with Bird Dog's parents announcing the soldier's return. Charges of desertion and misbehavior before the enemy were referred by Abrams for a general court-martial in December 2015. Over the next 2 years, preliminary motions took place on Fort Bragg. Once Bird Dog entered guilty pleas without a pretrial agreement, the sentencing phase began at Fort Bragg. Closing arguments began Thursday, and 24 hours later, the judge announced his decision. Fidel said Bird Dog was anxious as he waited for a ruling. He wouldn't comment specifically on the sentence, but said the defense team planned to appeal the dishonorable discharge. Fidel called out Trump for harshly criticizing Bird Dog during his campaign. President Trump's unprincipled effort to stoke a lynch mob atmosphere while seeking our nation's highest office has cast a dark cloud over the case, he said. Every American should be afforded by his assault on the fair administration of justice and disdain for basic constitutional rights.
Salute to service, honor soldiers. vets. Huck Mills. It wasn't the kind of pregame speech Marcus Wall is used to as an assistant coach to Southview football team. He found himself in the curve of the track at Randy Ledford Field, standing in front of temporary bleachers filled with military veterans and active duty soldiers, on hand to be honored at the salute to service.
This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the SENCRRS in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call at 910-672-1600 or our toll-free number 1-844-709-5656. Your radio hosts are
Becky Johnston
and Joan Townsend, and we are proud to serve you today.
Huck Mills. It wasn't the kind of pregame speech Marcus Wall is used to as an assistant coach of the Southview football team. He found himself in the curve of the track at Randy Ledford Field, standing in front of temporary bleachers filled with military veterans and active duty soldiers, on hand to be honored at the salute to service night put on by the Carolina Panthers in conjunction with the USO. We're able to sleep at night as a country from the work and service they provide, said Wall, the star of Southview's 1991 state 4A championship football team. I just came over to speak and make sure they were welcome and everybody was comfortable. It was more than an honor for me. The annual battle of the bridge between Southview and rival Grays Creek, won by Southview on this night, seemed to take back seat to all the extras that were part of the Panthers coming to town. A huge inflated football and an even bigger inflatable Panther run-through tunnel dominated one end of the Tiger Field. Fans all over the stadium held up American flags during the singing of the national anthem. The veterans and soldiers in their special seating section at the end of the stadium were treated to food and drink. While Wall was speaking to the veterans before the game, members of the Panthers football team and two of the squad's Top Cats cheerleaders were signing autographs and posing for photos at the other end of the field. Kyla, a rookie on the Top Cat squad, said this was her first appearance at a high school event as a member of the Panthers cheerleading squad. The military do so much for us and for our whole country, she said. I'm just a small part of it to bring awareness to what they do. What they do is a significant thing. Scott Simonson joined teammate Drew Idings in the autograph tent. Simonson is a tight end from Assumption College in Massachusetts. Idings is a defensive lineman from South Dakota. It's always nice getting out and seeing North Carolina because it's new to me, Simonson said. I've always heard about Fort Bragg and the military community around it. I wanted to get a chance to experience for myself. Simonson says he has a special appreciation for the role the military plays. Both my grandfathers and my great-grandfather served, he said. A trio of veterans were clearly impressed and moved by the Panthers going to the trouble to come to Southview and honor them. Thomas Gilbert, who served in the 82nd Airborne and with the 173rd Airborne Brigade in Vietnam, called the event the best thing he's seen. When you start bringing the military together, it gives them a feeling you're wanted, Gilbert said. Edwin Drew served in the Marines in the Korean War. This is the most wonderful thing for our servicemen, he said. Every young man I see in uniform, I thank them for their service. Spencer Sichter is a member of the Sean Nisley Detachment of the Marine Corps League, who served at Cherry Point and in Hawaii. It's interesting to see the combination of the youth in the professional team out there to honor veterans, Sichter said. We see too much of the negativity in the media. This is an opportunity to show the positivity of what this means about being patriotic. While there were multiple branches of the service represented at the game, Sichter said there is something that connects them. I appreciate they invited us, he said.
Holiday time. Personal attacks are bad form. Merit. To organizers of the 51st Annual Holiday Fair, which continues through Sunday at the Crown Expo Center, it has grown into a major holiday shopping event over those 5 decades. Accordingly, this year will feature more than 160 vendors from all over the country. Pats on the back and shout-outs are due to the Junior League of Fayetteville, the main sponsor, and to all the volunteers and other sponsors who make it happen. Go get your shop on. Demerit. To candidates in this year's municipal elections who took the low road and engaged in personal attacks against their opponents. We won't name names, but if you're a candidate and are offended by this comment, chances are it was you doing the mudslinging. Voters should remember that if they reward politicians who use such tactics to win, they will get more of the same kind of crud every time election season runs around. We get enough of this kind of behavior in national politics. It's a shame to see it infect the local level. Merit. To World Series champions, the Houston Astros, which defeated the Los Angeles Dodgers in Game 7 on Wednesday night. It is the Astros' first World Series title in franchise history, a feat that stands on its own. But for local folks, it's all the sweeter, considering the organization is part of a major investment in Fayetteville's downtown, where a new stadium will welcome a Class A Astro franchise in 2019. The team currently plays at the Buies Creek Astros at Campbell University. Both the team and school can also proudly bask in the afterglow of the win, which is a nice boost for the whole franchise. Merit. To 2 men, Tawa Lightfoot L. and DeMarcus Tank Tyler, who recently did their own form of hurricane relief in storm-shattered St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. L., a Fort Bragg soldier, and Tyler, a former professional football player, collected medical supplies and other provisions and traveled to the islands, where they handed them out to those in need. For L., the mission was personal. He was raised in St. Croix, but neither man has any connections to Puerto Rico, where they wound up spending most of their time doing relief work and teaming up with a group of similar-minded veterans called the Warfighters Disaster Response Team. We need more people like these 2 men. Demerit. To John Kelly, White House Chief of Staff, who needs to brush up on his Civil War history in praising Confederate General Robert E. Lee as an honorable man. Kelly went overboard. He characterized a war fought over whether African Americans would remain slaves under a brutal chattel system as simply a disagreement between men of conscience and good faith, and said the war happened due to a lack of compromise. He was roughly criticized, and rightly so, by the country's historians. Kelly, a 4-star general with a distinguished military record, should have known better, and he picked a particularly poor time in history to rub salt in a country's open wound on race relations. Merit. To the life of the Reverend John T. Johnson, the definition of a community servant who was known as Kibby to his friends. He died last month at the age of 74. Johnson was a 2-term president of the Fayetteville Cumberland County Ministerial Council, which is the host of the annual Martin Luther King Jr. Worship Service and Prayer Breakfast. He was involved in a variety of outreach ministries and was known by his signature response when someone asked how he was doing. I do well all the time, he would say. He did well for this community too. Demerit to convicted murderer George Marisick, who is alleged to have slipped into the court-martial sentencing hearing for Sergeant Bo Bergdog and was overheard making a threat. An additional demerit to Fort Bragg security personnel who did not flag him. In 2000, Marisick, who is 85. Marisick, is that what it is?
I think so.
Marisick, okay, Marisick or Marisick, who is 85, was convicted of second-degree murder in his wife's 1991 death. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison, but served only 3. The decorated Special Forces soldier showed up to the Bergdog hearing on post in his combat uniform and full insignia, seated a few inches away from Bergdog, who pleaded guilty to desertion. He said to a person next to him, he'll be glad when the trial is over and I got my firing squad standing by. Lord have mercy. A Washington Post reporter overheard the comments, and Bergdog's lawyers overheard other threatening statements. Authorities were alerted, but Fort Bragg has been mum on the matter. Merit to the Fayetteville Fire Department, which is kicking off a cancer prevention initiative meant to address troubling statistics that show people in fire service suffering higher rates of cancer diagnosis and death. The initiative has several components, including getting firefighters to be more rigorous about cleaning their trucks and equipment, taking showers immediately after returning from fire calls. They save our lives and property, and we want them to be safe too. Merit to all the neighborhoods, churches, and other organizations that played host to trick-or-treating, trunk-or-treats, or any Halloween-related event on Tuesday or in the days prior. It seems like a good, safe time was had. And a special merit to all the little ghosts, superheroes, princesses, Star Wars characters, and more who made it all worth for the adults.
3 candidates vying for Spring Lake mayor. Spring Lake voters will head to the polls Tuesday to select a new mayor. After 6 years leading the town, Mayor Chris Ray is leaving office to devote more attention to a new assignment in the National Guard and to spend more time with his family. During his tenure, the town completed its comeback from police department scandal that had temporarily taken away the department's authority to investigate felonies. Spring Lake and its leaders and staff also weathered a state audit of the municipality's finances over the town-issued credit cards. Over the summer, the State Department of Transportation essentially put the finishing touches on a major realignment on NC 87, a key section of the main thoroughfare through town. 3 people are seeking to replace Ray: Larry Dobbins, the mayor pro tem, and political newcomers Tara DeLoach and Chris Sampson. In the race for the Board of Aldermen, 8 candidates are vying for 5 seats. Incumbents James Christian, James O'Gara, and Frederica Sutherland are being challenged by Byron Blumenfeld, Sona Cooper, Villalina or Vidalina, it's spelled different ways in the article, Husa Mudine, Jackie Jackson, and Stan McQueen. All the seats are 2-year terms. In the mayor's race, the candidates have varying visions for the town of more than 13,000 people. Dobbin, 71, is a retired educator completing his first term on the Board of Aldermen. A lifelong resident of Spring Lake, he said his vision would be to make the town a better, more wholesome place to live. That, he continued, would be in view of the changes that have taken place, including the road construction and loss of businesses from that project. Dobbins said he would like to develop the initiative that would foster the hiring of more residents, and he said he would like to see the demolition of less than quality housing that scars the landscape inside the town limits. Dobbins cited his experience, his passion, and his investment in the community throughout my home ownership for my life as setting him apart. Dobbins worked in the Cumberland County school system for 38.5 years before retiring in 2008. Sampson, 31 and a Spring Lake native, said he would begin mending what often has been an acrimonious relationship between some of the town leaders. For too long, we've had divisive leadership, he said by email, which has hurt the people that we serve in the town of Spring Lake. He said he also wants to identify the town's strengths and weaknesses to ensure its elected officials can provide the best outcome for the town and its residents. Sampson, who is a consultant and Army veteran, said his integrity, work ethic, and personality separate him from the other candidates. I stand ready to serve my community, he said, and will do so in a tactful manner that focuses on people and how we will move Spring Lake forward. Deloach, 41, did not respond to phone messages seeking comment for this story. She has previously told the Observer that affordable housing and more forms of entertainment for children and adults are issues that are important to her. Here's a look at all the candidates at a glance. Mayoral candidates. Tara Ann Wright Deloach, age 41, occupation, Department Manager of Guest Services, graduate student. Elected office, none. Family, single with 3 sons. Contacts, 401-8151. Civic boards, public services, yes. Larry Dobbins, age 71, occupation, self-employed, retired educator. Elected office, Spring Lake Board of Aldermen, Mayor Pro Tem, 2015 to present. Family, widower, 4 children. Contact, 497-0521. Civic boards, public services, Spring Lake Minimum Housing Standards Board. Chaz L. Sampson, 31, occupation, consultant, Army veteran. Elected office, none. Family, divorced, 2 children, daughters. Contacts, 920-0589. Civic boards, public service, answer to that is yes. Board of Aldermen, Byron Blumenfeld, age 67, occupation, retired, 10 years experience with the town of Spring Lake, running street, water, sewer, wastewater treatment, and information technology, Air Force veteran. Elected office, none. Family, wife, Luan. Contacts, 885-4981 and Facebook. Civic boards, public services, none listed. James Christian, incumbent, age 56, occupation, technician, Army veteran. Elected office, 4 terms, Spring Lake Board of Aldermen. Family, none. Contacts, 922-0819. Civic boards, public service, none listed. Sona Cooper, age 53, occupation, corporate travel consultant. Elected office, none. Family, divorced, 3 children. Contacts, 587-7888. Civic boards, public service, executive board, Kingdom CDC, first vice chairwoman, Democratic Party for the 8th Congressional District, precinct captain, Democratic Party election volunteer since 1982. Vidalina Husamudin, Husamudeen. Occupation, retired educator. Elected office, none. Family, husband, Abdul Malik. 4 children. Contacts, none listed. Civic boards, public service, none. Jackie Jackson, age 52. Occupation, founder of Teens Do Care, manager of Gentle Touch Home Care. Elected office, none. Family, husband Terry, 6 children. Contacts 261-1444. Civic boards, public service. President, Arms of Refuge Advisory Board, PTO President. Stan McQueen, age 64. Occupation, retired Army veteran. Elected office, none. Family, wife Patricia, 3 children. Contact 705-1127. Civic board, public services, community watch boards, Democrats meet and greet sessions. James O'Gara, incumbent, did not respond to the survey. Frederica Sutherland, incumbent, age 56, occupation, worked at Fort Bragg Federal Credit Union and other financial institutions, ordained preacher. Elected office, yes, for 14 years. Family, husband Frank, 2 children. Contacts 584-7117. Civic boards, public service, board member, Partnership for Children of Cumberland County.
Reactions to sentencing of Bo Bergdahl. President Donald Trump. The decision on Sergeant Bergdahl is a complete and total disgrace to our country and to our military. Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican. While I have tremendous Republican South Carolina. While I have tremendous respect for the military justice system I was a part of for over 30 years, I'm incredibly disappointed in the sentence handed down by the court in the Bergdahl case. Given the nature of the crime and the sacrifices made by others on Bergdahl's behalf, this sentence, in my view, falls short of the gravity of the offense. An independent judiciary is the heart and soul of the rule of law, but no one is beyond criticism. Facebook, Michael Causey. I knew he wasn't going to be executed or get life for a lot of reasons, but I was genuinely surprised by the 0 jail time. Stacey Ann Bertogli. This is a slap in the face to the good men who died or who were critically injured looking for him. James Thomas. He got a slap on the wrist and gets to be free. Should have been shot by firing squad or life and a day without parole. Rod McClain. Sorry, as a veteran I think he got off way too easy. $10,000 as a fine. How about returning all his pay at ranks above that which he deserted at? Elwood Paul Sutton. Unbelievable. The new Army. Low standards, no accountability. Angela Williams. He will deal with his poor decision in judgment for the rest of his life. May God be with him. Ray Bree. He must have had a good attorney. Good luck out there, Bergdahl. Courtney Comstock. So all of you are lawyers and judges. They punished him how they thought they should. He has a family and an awful thing to live with the rest of his life and doesn't need your judgment. You weren't there in his shoes at the time. Chris Mack. The high-ranking officials that handled this case know so much more about the circumstances than you stone throwers here. They got it right, and I've been calling it right all along. On Twitter, Michelle at mix97. I suspect Trump will tweet more insults about justice system. Kelsey Humphreys. No jail time. People died looking for him. Rachel is what it says. Whoa, glad to be disappointed in my expectations for what would happen. Question everything up dust. The right verdict. Kate Dostan. This is an acceptable punishment. This is fine. Don't wish any more torture upon anyone. Makes you look monstrous. We aren't monsters. American Navy aviation fan. Outrageous. Slap in the face to all military and the surviving family members who lost loved ones looking for this coward.
Assaults in Syria and Iraq oust IS from border bastions. Damascus, Syria. Syrian troops ousted Islamic State extremists Friday from Deir el-Zor, a major city in eastern Syria, while Iraqi forces retook Qaim, it's Q-A-I-M, the group's last big town across the border in Iraq, in simultaneous assaults that dealt further territorial losses to the retreating militants. With their self-proclaimed caliphate crumbling, the extremists have lost almost all their urban strongholds in Syria and Iraq. The defeats left the Syrian town of Bukamal as the only urban area still completely under IS control, along with scattered pockets of territory along the Syria-Iraq border. Syrian troops, backed by Russian and Kurdish-led forces, supported by the United States, are now racing towards Bukamal from opposite sides of the Euphrates River, triggering concerns that a proxy showdown could ensue between the two sides. Both the U.S. and Russia have embedded special forces with their respective partners and are supporting their advances with airstrikes. Major General Igor Konachenkov, a spokesman for the Russian Defense Ministry, said 6 Tu-22M bombers struck IS targets near Bukamal, while 2 Russian submarines in the Mediterranean also launched 6 cruise missiles at the IS targets. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights reported that shelling from the Iraqi side of the border hit the small Syrian town of Abu Ghaz near Bukamal. Civilians were forced to flee, but no casualties from the shelling were reported, the Britain-based group said. With the loss of Deir el-Zor, Daesh loses its ability to treat terrorist operations by its militants, who are now isolated and encircled eastern countryside of the city, said General Ali Mehhoub, declaring victory in a statement read on Syrian TV. He used an Arabic name for IS in the broadcast.
Billy Graham.
Oh, well.
Oh, you can obituaries. You can go ahead.
Well, that's kind of early.
Oh.
We do a real short one, shall we?
Yeah, I don't see, there's no short ones.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do that.
Okay. This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WNC Chapel Hill. As a non-profit organization, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the SENCRRS in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call 910-672-1600 or our toll-free number 1-844-709-5656. Your radio hosts are
Becky Johnston
and Joan Townsend, and we're proud to serve you today.
Okay. Death notices. Cumberland County. Bela Francis Travis, 68, of Stedman, Rogers and Breeze Funeral Home. David Bryant Jr., 74, of Broadway, of Wiseman Mortuary. Cumberland County. U.S. Army Sergeant Yuha Tepoya and Paljarvi, 44, of Fort Bragg, died Monday, October 23rd. The funeral is on Tuesday at 11 a.m. at Sullivan's Highland Funeral Service. Visitation at Sullivan's funeral service on Monday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The burial will be at Arlington National Cemetery in Arlington, Virginia. Goldie Hatji Lupyak, 80 of Fayetteville, died Wednesday, November 1st, 2017. Memorial Monday, 11 a.m., Rogers and Breeze Funeral Home, Chapel. Visitation for Ms. Lupyak will be at Rogers and Breeze Funeral Home Monday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Burial at Cumberland Memorial Gardens, Fayetteville. Cremation services are providing the services. Arlene Smith, 96, died Wednesday, November 1st, 2017. The funeral is on Monday, 11 a.m. Evening Light Holiness Church in Garland. The viewing at the funeral home, carrying funeral care and cremations, on Saturday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. The burial will be at Lafayette Memorial Park West. Alan Reynolds Maltsby, 90, died at home on Wednesday, November 1st. Reynolds was born, excuse me, sorry, there's a lot. The family will receive friends from 7 to 9 p.m. tonight on Saturday, November 4th at Rogers and Breeze Funeral Home. A funeral service with military honors will be held at 3 p.m. Sunday, November 5th in Friendship Baptist Church. Burial will follow at Cross Creek Cemetery. In lieu of flowers, donations may be made to the Salvation Army or UNCTV P.O. Box 60067, Raleigh, North Carolina 27675. Services are entrusted to Rogers and Breeze Funeral Home. Mr. Maltsby was a military veteran. Rosaria Vasta passed away October of 21 in Hope Mills. Memorial Mass will be held at 5:30 p.m. on Monday, November 6th at Good Shepherd Catholic Church on 5050 Oak Street, Hope Mills, North Carolina, with a brief visitation prior to Mass at 5 p.m. in celebration of Rosaria's life. Entombment will be held at Assumption Cemetery Mausoleum in Syracuse, New York. Well, the entombment was already at New York last week. Donations to her memory may be made to Good Shepherd Catholic Church, 5050 Oak Street, Hope Mills, North Carolina 28348. Geraldine or Jerry Say Campbell, 82, of Fayetteville, passed away at her home Wednesday, November 1st. Funeral service will be held at 11 a.m. Saturday, November 4th in Christ United Methodist Church with Reverend Donald Warren officiating. The family will receive friends from 9:45 a.m. to 10:45 a.m. prior to the service at the church. In lieu of flowers, donations can be made to the FTCC Foundation. Services are entrusted to Rogers and Breeze Funeral Home. Haywood Milton Bradshaw, 92, of Godwin, died Thursday, November 2nd. The funeral is on Sunday at 3 p.m. at Crumpler Honeycutt Chapel. The viewing is at Crumpler Honeycutt Chapel Sunday at 2 to 3 p.m. and the burial will be at Clinton City Cemetery. Annette Martin Locke, 78, of Fayetteville, died Tuesday, October 31st. The funeral is on Sunday at 1 p.m. at Highway Church of the Lord Jesus. Visitation is at Highway Church of the Lord Jesus on Sunday from noon to 1 p.m. The burial will be at the Northside Cemetery. Unity Funeral Services are providing the service. Douglas D. Tatum of White Oak, 25, died Wednesday, November 1st. The funeral will be on Sunday, 1 p.m., Elizabethtown Middle School. The viewing will be at Johnson's Funeral Service, Saturday at 2 to 6 p.m. The burial will be at Tatum Family Cemetery. Lorraine Conaway Stallings, 64 of Lumberton, died Monday, October 30th. The visitation is Floyd Mortuary and Crematory at Monday, 4 to 7 p.m.
Did you switch it over?
Yeah.
Okay.
Joan E. O'Donnell Horton, 80 of Southport, passed away on November 2nd at the CQ Hospice House of Brunswick in Bolivia, North Carolina. The funeral mass will be held at Sacred Heart Catholic Church in Southport, North Carolina at 2 p.m. November 7th, with inhumation in the church columbarium. The family will receive friends from 5 to 7 p.m. Monday, November 6th at Peacock, Newman, and White Funeral Home on 1411 North House Street in Southport, North Carolina. In lieu of flowers, memorial donations may be made to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, 501 St. Jude Place in Memphis, Tennessee, 38105. The family wishes to extend gratitude to SECU Hospice House of Brunswick, Lower Cape Fear Hospice for their support and comfort in their final days. Peacock, Newman, and White Funeral and Cremation Services of Southport are providing services. Laverne Kershaw, 60, of Rayford, died Thursday, November 2nd. Funeral on Sunday, 4 p.m. at Turlington School. The viewing will be at Bowie's Funeral Home Chapel on Saturday from 1 to 7 p.m. The burial will be at Rock Hill Church Cemetery. Frances Pauline Melton Blackburn, 79, of Whiteville, died Thursday, November 2nd. The graveside service will be on Sunday from 3 p.m. at the Flynn Cemetery. Visitation will be at Mackenzie Mortuary Saturday from 6 to 8 p.m. The burial will be at Flynn Cemetery. Magdalena Autumn Edge, 90, died Friday, November 3rd in Roseboro. Graveside Sunday at 1 p.m. Odom Family Cemetery is at Roseboro, and visitation at Butler Funeral Home Sunday from noon to 12:30. Charles Henry Chuck Fraser Jr., 64, of Connors Grove in Willis, Virginia, died Sunday, October 29th at Oak Haven Assisted Living in Floyd, Virginia. A memorial service will be conducted at 3 p.m. Sunday, November 19, at New Beginnings House of God of Willis, Virginia. Doesn't indicate the Samantha Austin Moody, 26, of Volusia, Florida, formerly of St. Paul's, died Sunday, October 29th. The family will receive friends from 6 to 8 p.m. tonight, Saturday, November 4th, at Rogers and Breed's Funeral Home. A funeral service will be held at 2 p.m. Sunday, November 5th, in Rogers and Breed's Funeral Home. Burial will follow in Fayetteville Memorial Cemetery. Service is entrusted to Rogers and Breed's Funeral Home.
Billy Graham. Being born out of wedlock doesn't alter God's love. Question. My parents weren't married when I was born, and in fact, I don't even know who my father was. Is God going to reject me because I was illegitimate? I don't know much about religion, but this worries me. This is from LT. Answer. You should not worry about this. God doesn't look down on you because your parents weren't married. After all, you had no control over this, and even if you grew up mistakenly feeling you weren't quite worthy of respect from others, this has nothing to do with God's love for you. And that's the most important truth I can tell you. God loves you. You may not know who your father was, but you have another father, your heavenly Father, who has been loving you and caring for you all these years. He will never abandon you. The prayer that Jesus gave his disciples begins this way. Our Father in heaven, hallowed or honored be your name. Matthew 6:9. How do I know God loves you? I know it because he sent his only Son, Jesus Christ, into the world to give his life for you. We have sinned, and because we have sinned, we are separate from God and deserves only his judgment. But when Jesus died on the cross, all our sins were placed on him, and he took upon himself the judgment we deserve. God loves you that much. What must you do? By a simple prayer of faith, invite Christ come into your life to forgive you, and he will. When you do, you become a child of God, part of his family forever. God's promise is for you. See what great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God, and that is what we are. 1 John 3:1.
Where's dear Abby? Didn't see it. I looked, I didn't see it. We can't, oh, is that it?
Is that it? Okay.
It took a while, but we found dear Abby. She was hiding. Food gives overweight teen an escape from depression. Dear Abby, my 15-year-old granddaughter is an emotional eater and has gained a lot of weight. When she was quite young, her mother walked out, and that rejection, combined with her dad laying a lot of the household responsibility, live 800 miles away and can be supportive only from afar. I buy her most of her clothing, and she's now so large she can't fit into most of the trendy stores' plus sizes. Another family member recently called her fat, which of course made her feel awful and drove her to bury her feelings with more food. How can I help her take better care of herself without making her feel even worse? Concerned Nanny from afar. Dear Concerned Nanny, the challenges your granddaughter is facing cannot be resolved from afar, regardless of how much you may wish to. She needs a caring female influence in her life, a way to teach her healthy habits and help boost her self-esteem. Might be to invite her to live with you if you are able. Dear Abby, after 24 years of unhappy marriage, my wife informed me that she married me only out of guilt. I'm sorely tempted to bail. Your thoughts. Unhappy in the South. Dear Unhappy, after nearly a quarter of a century of misery, my thought is that you both have probably suffered enough. Dear readers, it's time for my annual reminder that Daylight Savings Time ends at 2 a.m. Sunday. So don't forget to turn your clocks back 1 hour at bedtime tonight. And while you're at it, change your batteries in your smoke alarms detectors. That's what I'll be doing.
Horoscope. Scorpio, October 23, November 21. A promise made quite some time ago is finally kept today, and you'll be released from any further obligation. Where do you go from here? Sagittarius, November 22nd, December 21st. You can catch up with a friend who has spent a good deal of time far from your usual haunts. He or she has a few stories to tell. Capricorn, that's me, December 22nd, January 19th. Your ability to combine many efforts into a single comprehensive endeavor will come in very handy today for you and those working with you. Aquarius, January 20, February 18. Now is no time to play guessing games. You must be willing to look directly at the facts and able to come up with a concrete conclusion. Pisces, February 19, March 20. A quickening of the pace needn't leave you in the dust. You are perfectly able to keep up, especially as other things are going your way. Aries, March 22nd, April 19th. You've been looking into the same issue for quite some time, but to little effect. Today, why not try coming at it from a different angle? Taurus, April 20th, May 20th. That which concerns you only peripherally is likely to become more important as the day wears on. The way you interact with others is key. Gemini, May 21, June 20. You may be trying to hide something that is already common knowledge. Why not fess up and move on to something more important? Cancer, June 21, July 22nd. You're keeping things going for personal reasons, but perhaps it's time to recognize the need for at least a temporary change. Leo, July 23rd, August 22nd. That which you've avoided in the past may prove to be quite good for you today, so long as you can see your way clear to trying it at least once. Virgo, August 23rd, September 22nd. The lessons you've learned yesterday can certainly be applied today, and you are eager to see where all this self-improvement will lead. Libra, September 23rd, October 22nd. Someone is going to want to know just whose side you're on today, but perhaps you just don't know just yet. It's something you should decide surely.
Letters to the Observer. Henry Tyson, a much-needed new home. I'm encouraged by candidate Henry Tyson, City Council District 5. Henry's experience in the private sector, his work with the Historic Resource Commission, nonprofits, and with first responders, as well as his knowledge of downtown and attracting business, will bring a much-needed new voice to the council. Like many Fayetteville residents, I am encouraged by the recent developments that will have positive impact in the city. Our renovating downtown, the upcoming stadium, and other areas of the city that have been long overlooked are showing signs of taking the next steps forward, and there's some positive buzz in the city, but problems remain. Unnecessary and excessive regulations advocated by departed city staff and past councils continue to chase off the stunt potential growth by failing to attract new employers and retain our veterans and other young and future residents. Proactive residents can influence our future in November by electing pro-growth leaders like Henry Tyson, who will avoid and correct mistakes of the past. Henry comes from a family with a long history of public service to the city, Cumberland County, and the state of North Carolina. Henry is the type of leader we need to help guide Fayetteville into the next stage of positive growth. Please vote for Henry Tyson for City Council's District 5 when you vote early, or go to the ballot box on November 7th. And this is Michael Koontz of Fayetteville. Campaign tactics are revealing. I am concerned about the type of leadership we elect. I have recently become immersed in the local political scene, and the experience is eye-opening. The most interesting? Listening to the men and women running for office unveil their true character in their campaign tactics. I believe a person's campaign tactics reveal more about them than it does about their opponent, especially when smear tactics are employed. On Wednesday, I was sent a photo through text message. It was a photo of a campaign flyer regarding a mayoral candidate. The information was jarring. However, to me, it spoke more about his opponent's insecurities. Does he feel he cannot win this on his own merit? Nate Robertson's utilized deplorable campaign tactics against Mitch Colvin, a two-term councilman serving since 2013. However, Mr. Robertson praised Mr. Colvin's achievements and talents. In response to a question about the planned baseball stadium, Robertson praised Colvin's efforts on a committee working on the project, which is expected to bring about $100 million of development to downtown, reported to the Fayetteville Observer. Leaders do not perpetuate negativity and division instead of wasting time digging up derogatory information on an opponent candidates should use time and resources to speak to how they are going to motivate city council members and their constituents to produce change. It is not just the opponent's personal information that is being exposed. Their spouse and children are now made vulnerable to attack. To win, give a comprehensive and realistic plan. Courtney Ann Griffin of Fayetteville.
Las Vegas shooter had lost money. The man who killed 58 people at a country music festival in Las Vegas last month had been depressed after losing a significant amount of money in the past 2 years, and that may have been a determining factor in the worst mass shooting in modern U.S. history, the city's sheriff said. Gunman Stephen Paddock, a 64-year-old high-stakes gambler and real estate investor, had lost a significant amount of wealth since September 2015, which led to bouts of depression, Clark County Sheriff Joe Lombardo said in an interview this week. This individual was status-driven, based on how he liked to be recognized in the casino environment and how he liked to be recognized by his friends and family. So obviously that was starting to decline in a short period of time, and that may have had a terminating effect on why he did what he did. Investigators still have not determined exactly what led Paddock to unleash a barrage of gunfire at concert goers from his high-rise suite at the Mandalay Bay Hotel and Casino on October 1. Paddock killed himself after the massacre that also wounded more than 500 people. Las Vegas police and the FBI have examined his politics, any possible motives, and his social behavior, but turned up little. Investigators have found that Paddock planned his attack meticulously and was purposefully in concealing his actions, the sheriff said. The gunman requested an upper floor room overlooking the Route 91 Harvest Festival, stockpiled 23 guns, a dozen of them modified to fire continuously like an automatic weapon, and set up cameras inside and outside his room to watch for approaching officers. Oh, Lord.
Attorney General in familiar investigation hot seat. The nation's chief law enforcement officer found himself in a familiar spot Friday, belittled by the president, pressured to investigate political opponents, and sucked back into the center of the storm around the investigation into Trump's administration's campaign ties to Russia. In President Donald Trump's cabinet, Attorney General Jeff Sessions appears to be perpetually in the hot seat, yet he has made clear he's not going anywhere. Trump paused to hit Sessions with yet another indignity just before he left the White House for the 12-day Asia trip, increasingly colored by his domestic political troubles. Asked if he would fire the Attorney General if he doesn't investigate his Democratic political rivals, Trump said, "I don't know." He continued to vent his frustration with the top prosecutor. "I'm not really involved with the Justice Department," he said. "I'd like to let it run itself, but honestly they should be looking at the Democrats." Two White House officials quickly cautioned against reading too much into Trump's comments, reiterating that he has no plans to fire Sessions. And although the White House maintains that Trump's tweets are official record, it says Trump has not ordered Sessions or the FBI to do anything related to Democrats. Trump issued a flurry of tweets over a 3.5-hour span Friday, urging the Justice Department to investigate Hillary Clinton and the Democratic National Committee over a joint fundraising agreement they signed in August 2015. Trump's accusations follow publication by Politico of an excerpt from former acting DNC Chairman Donna Brazil's upcoming book. Brazil alleges she found proof that the 2016 Democratic primary was rigged in Clinton's favor.
Oh, Lord.
Everybody is asking why the Justice Department and FBI isn't looking into all the dishonesty going on the crooked Hillary and the Dems, Trump tweeted.
Leave it alone.
I know. Go ahead, Pam.
Mudslinging, a tricky strategy. Troy Williams. Political operatives call it opposition research, but most of the time it looks more like a mission of search and destroy. It's the politics of personal destruction. Not long ago, Hillary Clinton was calling Donald Trump supporters deplorable, and he called her Crooked Hillary. Political disclosure reached a new low, and the trash talking at the national level seems equally infectious at the local level as well. Smear tactics, or mudslinging as some people call it, seems to only be in the eye of the beholder. Some say it isn't mudslinging if the allegations are true, concluding that matters of public record and statement of fact is fair game. However, regardless of whether the accusations are true, gutter politics proves to be an efficient way of keeping an opponent off his or her game. The Fayetteville mayoral race between incumbent Mayor Nat Robertson and Mayor Pro Tem Mitch Colvin is the high-stakes headliner for political supremacy of our city council. Is negative campaigning worth the risk? I cannot tell, but voters will either reward Robertson's style or Colvin's strategy Tuesday at the polls. Moreover, I was somewhat surprised at some of the past criminal charges of some of the other candidates, shocked but not dismissive. All of our municipal candidates appear to be conscientious citizens committed to making our community a better place. Is it necessary to be squeaky clean to run for elective office? Having a respectable past certainly helps, but I believe there are ways to overcome a checkered history if the candidate gets in front of personal issues. Realistically, candidates should make an honest assessment of their past, determine whether they believe they would be suitable for public office, and move forth. Apparently, some past crimes and accusations are too much for voters to overcome, but voters are hard to figure. Sometimes they will show incredible compassion and forgiveness to public officials when they are completely honest and transparent about their actions, past or present. Typically, politicians don't like to answer questions directly. That is pretty well established, and they are almost always evasive in their answers. It's about saving face. Politicians don't like to look bad, and some will do about anything to preserve their image. One fascinating politician of our lifetime was former D.C. Mayor Marion Barry. Barry was an intellectual giant. When he dropped out of high school to join the civil rights movement, becoming head of the Students' Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, he was pursuing a doctoral degree in chemistry at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. Barry rose to prominence as mayor of the nation's capital, the first civil rights activist to do so. His celebrity gave way to notoriety when he was videotaped smoking crack in 1990 and later served 6 months in federal prison. After his release, he was again elected to the D.C. Council and also re-elected mayor, serving from 1994 to 1999.
It's those chairs.
He was incredible. He was an incredible, resilient politician. He was, without question, very flawed, but as the Washington Post once stated, that to understand the District of Columbia, one must understand Marion Barry. I know it's tempting, but please don't play the race card on me concerning Barry and his African-American supporters. Although George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and John Kennedy were esteemed political leaders, and they had their flaws as well. The age of social media, including Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, has dramatically changed the political landscape and how citizens interact with elected officials and candidates. Social media has made elected officials more transparent and accountable, and also has given opponents the ability to publish damaging messages about candidates without the filter of traditional media sources. Thus, smear tactics and mudslinging has become more comfortable because of social media. Social media, in particular, has been a serious factor in the federal mayoral campaign, and in the way voters perceive the candidate and where they stand on the issues. As social media becomes more popular, its impact on our local elections will likely increase, and it will be interesting to see how this ultimately plays out. Social media advantage for a candidate on the fence is that they can respond quickly to deflect allegations. Colvin used social media on several occasions to counter mailers and release of negative news stories, which typically are released on Fridays for maximum media effect. There's an art to going dirty and justifying it. Proponents of negative campaigning believe if a candidate has deep character flaws, voters should know before going to the polls. I'm sure negative campaigning works sometimes, and on other occasions it doesn't. I'm not taking sides. We live in a democracy, and the voters will decide our selection for mayor and the other down ticket races. I'm assured that most of you are like me, intending to support whoever wins. Troy Williams is a legal analyst and criminal defense investigator.
This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, United Way Partner Agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the SCNCRRS in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina 28303. If you have any question or comments, please call us at 910-672-1600 or our toll-free number 844-709-5656. Your radio hosts today are Becky Johnston and Joan Townsend. We are proud to serve you today. Chris, election promises are easy. This is an opinion. Election times always bring candidates who espouse ideas on how to make the city better, but are often short on solutions to existing problems. We often hear, I will create more jobs, I will lower the violent crime rate, I will help the homeless, and the city badly needs change. I frequently think if they have solutions, why are they waiting? Why have they not presented their ideas to the council already? Promises are easy rhetoric and often appeals to voters. I have always been totally honest with citizens. I will give you straight answers, good or bad. I am fully retired except for the city council, and therefore I have the time, energy, knowledge, and ability to devote much of my time to the citizens of Fayetteville. My votes are expressive of what citizens tell me are important issues. To be able to do this, I visit HOAs or HOAs and community watch groups to get their opinions. I am accessible to all my citizens in our city, and I make it known that citizens may call me from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Some say we need change. I say we have instituted change in many procedures. We completely revamped our approach to creating jobs. While we, your city council, created a matrix of tax grant backs, we learned that we need not follow a chart, but consider every possible business individually and structure tax grant backs in ways that appeal to prospective businesses. I will work to convince the council to institute 100% tax grant back when Prospect is going to create numerous jobs in our community. For example, why not give them 100% tax grant back for 5 years, then 70% for 5 years, and so on. The idea is to get them to build within our community, and a grant back may defray their building costs. At the same time, their employees will live and create more revenue in our community. I advocate this same approach for small businesses as well. Simply stated, if a business is not here, then we get nothing in taxes. If they come here, we will eventually gain. How are we helping low-income families? We are partnering with Habitat for Humanity to build homes. We recently ceded property on Bunce Road to Habitat, which will enable them to build approximately 40 low-cost homes. This program enables single parents to purchase affordable housing. When citizens own their homes, they are protective of their neighborhoods. I will continue to look closely at city-owned property not in use that we can cede to Habitat for affordable housing. This is not compromise, this is action. Habitat has built more than 140 homes in our city. We need 140 more. This is our one way to fight poverty. This summer we had an intern program which brought young people into work with city employees. I believe the program was a success, and I want to expand it to include even more local use. I also recognize that all school children do not have the aptitude or desire for the arts and sciences. However, many of them relish the idea of working with their hands. We need to place city paid interns with small businesses such as auto repair shop, etc., and afford these young people opportunities for hands-on training. This will benefit the small businesses and the city. We can do this in conjunction with the FTCC. Would we rather have our young people walking around in the mall or learning needed skills? Not promises, but solutions. I hear criticism about the baseball stadium. The stadium is more than a ball field. It is part of a $100 million+ economic development project. Who will lay the bricks? Who will finish the cement? Who will care for the sodden field? Who will work the concessions? Who will perform the maintenance? These are jobs. Visualize football, soccer, portions of the Fall Festival, the Dogwoods Festival, top-notch entertainment presented in the stadium. The Houston Astros believe in Fayetteville enough to have signed a 30-year lease. This is change, not talked about change, but change in action. As a part of this economic development project, we were able to sell the Festival Plaza building, which we were forced to purchase because we were paying $800,000 a year in mortgage for a building we did not own. The Prince Charles Hotel is finally going to be renovated with condos and shops. We also have a major hotel chain eager to build a hotel on Hay Street. This is not promise, this is progress. I hear criticism that we are neglecting other parts of the city. Look around you at the growth on Skybo and Rayford Roads in the western part of the city and Ramsey Street in the north. Surveys and contacts with the businesses that choose not to locate in Fayetteville revealed that we badly needed to upgrade social program and facilities. We moved to do this with the Parks and Recreation bond referendum, and we are well into the building what citizens voted for us to build. We're close to breaking ground on a senior citizen center at Lake Rim. I am advocating putting the second one on Murchison Road, and hopefully this time will stimulate growth there. We are working to place the athletic complex at Bragg Boulevard and Santa Fe Drive near I-295. I have no doubt this will stimulate growth along the boulevard. These are not promises, these are actions which will change the city for the better. Finally, do not think that I am insensitive to the many problems we have, such as prostitution, drug addiction, dirt streets, as well as streets that have not been accepted by the city because they do not meet the code. A ready workforce, veterans with problems, and more important, children being abused are of great concern to me. These problems are but a short list and are not necessarily in order of priority, but they are on my personal list of things needed immediate attention. My home life is stable, therefore I can be, and I am a full-time city councilman. My wife of 57 years is completely behind me, as are my children. For those who want change, I am changing Fayetteville project by project, one problem at a time. I will continue to be your voice on council, and I will continue putting people first. A vote for me is a vote for continuing progress, Fayetteville forward. Bill Christ is a candidate for District 6 in Fayetteville City Council.
Odom Home celebrates 75th anniversary. Odom House in Pembroke, North Carolina. Opening Odom Home in the opening days of World War II was a true act of faith. The act was rewarded this past weekend as hundreds of alumni and supporters gathered at the Pembroke home to celebrate its 75th anniversary. In truth, this was the centennial year of the home. In 1917, L. Odom donated 58 acres of farmland to establish an orphanage for Indians. However, World War II had already begun before the Burnt Swamp Association of Baptist Churches was able to begin. Association Historic Materials says that the home was the first of its kind for Indian children in North Carolina. The home endured growing pains and financial struggles and faced closure by the mid-50s. The Baptist State Convention intervened, and in 1957, the Indian Orphanage joined Baptist Children's Homes in North Carolina. Baptist Children's Homes is a nonprofit child care organization offering residential programs in 23 statewide locations. Odom Home gives school-aged children from Cumberland, Harnett, Hoke, Robeson, Sampson, and Scotland counties an opportunity to deal with personal and family problems. For more information, call 910-521-3433 or visit odomhouse.org.
North Carolina Editorial Roundup. Worst idea ever to politicize judges. The Raleigh News and Observer on making local judicial elections partisan. The General Assembly's Republican leaders have made no secret of their preference for a judiciary at all levels elected by the people in partisan elections, and they've been moving in that direction. Their actions have had little to do with justice and fairness for all parties in court action, but rather have been about and only about partisanship. Just as Republicans in their redistricting have attempted to skew future elections in their favor with curiously shaped districts designed for gerrymander, illegal racial gerrymandering according to court rulings, in their favor, now they seek to establish rules regarding the election of judges that will guarantee them a Republican dominance of that branch of government. Ideally, they'd like to control all branches, but Governor Roy Cooper spoiled that goal by beating Republican incumbent Pat McCrory. And though they've cut Cooper's budget, along with that of Attorney General Josh Stein, another elected Democrat, they can't kick him out of office. But the judiciary remains a temptation indeed. Though it's ideally nonpartisan, given that judges are supposed to be impartial, dispensers of justice, and beholden only to the law, the judicial system can be manipulated by lawmakers who care little about justice, but much more about giving their party more power. And in moving to take over the judiciary, Republicans are again showing their lack of restraint and flexing their muscles. Denied power for 100 years, and admittedly Democrats were guilty of their own partisan excesses, some Republicans are now prepared to go to the ultimate extreme. Not only do those Republicans want to preserve an elected judiciary when they know that a appointed system would be superior, there is now under consideration on Jones Street a plan to make judges run for election every 2 years. Chief Justice Martin, who came to office as a Republican and is generally in favor of party leaders, opposes the idea vehemently. Martin says rightly that 2-year terms would force the judges to campaign basically all the time, and yes, to raise money for their campaigns virtually every day. And historically, the big contributors to judges are lawyers, in some cases the very lawyers who appear before them. But at least currently, appeals court judges and superior court judges serve 8-year terms, with district court judges serving 4 years. Making all run every 2 years would mean more money, and likely much of it would come from out of state. Special interests. Does that phrase Koch brothers ring a bell? You have a dream that Republicans could gain control of every branch of the government, and the Republican judges might be more inclined to enforce the legislation passed by Republican-run legislatures.
Exchange to expand online shopping. Many veterans will have a new option for holiday shopping this year, as a military retailer prepares to open online shopping to millions of people later this month. The Army and Air Force Exchange Service will open its digital doors to an estimated 21 million eligible veterans starting on Veterans Day. The new customers will receive the same discounts and tax-free shopping as active duty troops. All dishonorably discharged veterans will be able to shop at shopmyexchange.com or other exchange websites, officials said. That includes an estimated 100,000 veterans in the counties immediately surrounding Fort Bragg and nearly 700,000 veterans in North Carolina. Thomas C. Shull, Director and CEO of the Exchange, said the expansion of shopping benefits is the first offered by the retailer since 1990, when National Guard and Reserve troops were welcome as customers. Shull said the exchange was meant as a thank you to veterans who were previously ineligible to shop at the exchange and a way to spur increased sales. The exchange is one of the nation's largest retailers and is operated by the Department of Defense, with stores typically found on military installations. The retailer, based in Dallas, self-funds the vast majority of its operations. Approximately 2/3 of its profits are used to support a number of programs at Fort Bragg and other military installations, including physical fitness centers, child care, school lunch programs, and other quality of life initiatives. Last year, that support totaled more than $380 million. Previously, the vast majority of veterans were not eligible to shop at exchange stores. Their customers were limited to currently serving troops and families, retirees, and 100% disabled veterans, among others. Shull said expanding that pool of potential customers will provide many with tax-free shopping for the rest of their lives, and will help the exchange provide more support to quality of life programs. It's a win-win, he said. It's a virtuous circle. To date, more than 250,000 veterans have registered for the shopping benefits through vetverify.org. Shull said he expects at least 500,000 new online customers by the end of the year. One of them is Leslie Brown, a Navy veteran who lives in Broadway and began shopping with the exchange early this year as part of a beta test. It was very quick and easy, Brown said, of registering for access to shopmyexchange.com. There was no hassle at all. In recent weeks, she has bought items for herself, children, and grandchildren. Brown said she prefers shopping online to avoid crowds, and said the exchange offers a one-stop shop. There's a lot of variety of things from all around the world, she said. You can find things that comes from Germany or items that you can get up the street at Walmart. Brown said there are frequent deals on the website that, coupled with the lack of taxes, can make shopping very noticeable. Savings very noticeable. It's just very convenient, she said. Shull said the exchange is bracing for an influx of shoppers. The retailer's online portal has been improved to handle as many as 20,000 concurrent users, he said, and the digital shelves are being stocked with more products than ever before. Shull said the exchange has focused more efforts on its online presence in recent years to improve the shopping experience. The result has been double-digit sales growth even before the expanded eligibility rules go into effect. We're very proud of our website now. Scholl said the retailer has tried to level the playing field between itself and its competitors in the private sector. It now offers more national brands in addition to cheaper private label alternatives. Scholl compared shopping at an exchange to entering a Nordstrom or Macy's or visiting a Walmart or Target. We offer department store products and the most popular national brands. Officials said tobacco and alcohol products will not be sold online, and veterans will not be able to buy military uniforms or accessories. To register for online shopping benefits, veterans will need to first go to vetverify.org. The website will ask for information to verify their service before granting access to the exchange's online store. Scholl said most purchases can be expected to reach doorsteps in a matter of days. Veterans in North Carolina could expect faster than usual delivery, he said, because of the state's proximity to the exchange's distribution center in Virginia and Fort Bragg, which will host one of several ship-from-store locations.
Election foes agree on one thing, the Astros, by Bill Kirby Jr. Mayor Nat Robertson and Mayor Pro Tem Mitch Colvin are embroiled in a fierce political battle for the city gavel, but something both agree on is the Houston Astros' 5-1 victory over the Los Angeles Dodgers on Wednesday night in the 7th game of the World Series. Fayetteville is excited for our baseball partner in the city of Houston, Robertson said about the Astros, who will bring a Class A team to this city in 2019 to compete in the $33 million downtown stadium along Hay Street. Winning the World Series with players who come up through the ranks and played with minor league baseball teams all over the country proves the minor league entertainment is well worth watching. Fayetteville congratulates Houston Astros owner Jim Crane, team president Reed Ryan, and the entire team for an awesome win. Ditto, said Colvin, who chaired the Fayetteville City Council Baseball Committee, to include council members Jim Art, Kirk DeVere, and Larry Wright in helping broker the deal between the Astros and this city. The Houston Astros World Series win hopefully is a sign of great things to come to Fayetteville. Well, the Houston Astros are the 2017 MLB World Series champions, and Fayetteville will be the future home of their Class A farm team when the Buies Creek Astros move to Fayetteville. Bill Frischia says, "Doesn't it seem ludicrous to rename the team the Woodpeckers or the Fatbacks when the present name of the team is the Astros, and the parent organization, who are the World Series champions, bear the same name?" Good point. And who would name a team the Fatbacks? No matter, looks like our farm team will be either Woodpeckers or the Fatbacks, and according to David Lane, the team's general manager, we'll know which one in the first weeks of December. About the mayor's race, it just may be the nastiest in municipal history. Tuesday is election day, and if you are a registered voter and choose not to do so, your silence fails your community. I believe there are 73 living recipients of the Medal of Honor, and here we have 3, all with local Fort Bragg ties, says Tommy Bolton, civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army, who was instrumental in bringing Colonel Walter Joseph Marm, Command Sergeant Robert Bob Patterson, and Colonel Gordon Johnson, all retired Congressional Medal of Honor recipients from the Vietnam War, to Thursday's Greater Fayetteville Chamber Military Affairs Council Fall Social at the Airborne and Special Operations Museum. All of their stories are different, but the common thread is a devout belief in the meaning of this nation, a clear sense of honor, and an absolute clarity in how the duty is observed. I can tell you today's soldiers stand just as tall as the long gray line of soldiers that came before them, Robert said about today's Army, dedicated to our country, willing to make our sacrifice required. Our nation can rest assured we are defended by the very best our country has to offer. 2 more days of the 51st Annual Holiday Fair at the Crown Expo. It will put you in the holiday spirit. Captain Tracy Bass Kane with the Fayetteville Police has a lot of explaining to do after she was charged Thursday with 3 felony counts of failing to notify law enforcement about her husband, a registered sex offender, who is accused of attending at least 3 events where children and minors were or may have been present. She's on paid administrative leave as Gina Hawkins, a no-nonsense, by-the-book police chief. Yep, a lot of explaining to do.
Oh my God. Where was that at? Here, I think. Oh. Huge federal report warns of global warming. A massive U.S. report concludes the evidence of global warming is stronger than ever, contradicting a favorite talking point of the top Trump administration officials who downplay humans' role in climate change. The report released Friday is one of 2 scientific assessments required every 4 years. A draft showing how warming affects the United States was also published. Despite fears by some scientists and environmental advocates, David Fahey of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and several authors said there was no political interference or censoring of the 477-page final report. A lot of what we've been learning about the last 4 years suggests that possibility that things may have been more serious than we think, said Robert Koop of Rutgers University, one of dozens of scientists inside and outside the government who wrote the report. Since 1990, the Earth has warmed by 1.8 degrees and seas have risen by 8 inches. Heat waves, downpours, and wildfires have become frequent. Energy Secretary Rick Perry and Environmental Protection Agency Chief Scott Pruitt have repeatedly said carbon dioxide isn't the primary contributor to global warming. It's extremely likely, meaning with 95 to 100% certainty, that global warming is man-made, mostly from the spewing of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere from the burning of coal, oil, and natural gas, scientists concluded.
Are you see? Home improvement has become an American obsession, judging by the popularity of
It's Saturday.
Sorry, everybody. I hope you had a chuckle with us today. This concludes our reading of the Fayetteville Observer. Your radio hosts today have been
Joan Townsend
and Becky Johnston. For our radio listeners, we will now join the Raleigh Network for additional programs. Thank you for tuning us in. We enjoyed being with you. Have a good day. Thank you.
What a day. It's been one of those mornings.
Yeah, but put that one out. Turn that one out. Oh, yeah. That was an early article I read about this guy had been at 3 events at children were
The police
he's a sex offender and he's married.
Police chief?
No, not a police chief. She's a police woman.
But she's married to him?
Yeah.
And he's a sex offender of children?
Yeah.
Of anybody?
They just said a registered sex offender.
Excuse me, we're not on the air, are we?
I hope not.
Why the hell is she married to somebody like that?
I have no idea.
If women desperate for a man that they got to do that?
Well, you kind of wonder when some of them you start writing letters to men in prisons and go visit them there.
You mean to tell me a police officer
Is
married to
a registered sex
offender?
Yeah. And
I'm sorry.
Well, anyway, both of them were on charges.
Both women.
Yeah.
Ain't that much sex in the world. But I would do that. Would you?
No,
I
definitely
would be
not.
without a man forever. My God! What is this world coming to?
Well, she's apparently had been on the force for many years. I don't know how long they've been married, but they apparently went to 3 different events that involved a children's school
And
or a
she
school.
knew better.
Yeah, she knew better.
Is it still on? I'm so glad it's okay.
Morning, Father. It's all right.